Welcome to The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're joining us today because we're going to look up at the night sky and tackle a cosmic mystery that, honestly, humans have been wondering about for centuries. Today's Explainer is all about demystifying the moon's phases. If you've ever gazed up from your backyard and wondered why our closest celestial neighbor looks completely different from one night to the next, well, you're in the exact right place. We're going to break down the mechanics of the cosmos to see exactly what's happening up there in the dark. So let's kick things off with a really fundamental question. Does the moon actually change shape? Think about your own experience looking at the night sky. Have you ever noticed how the moon seems to just transform? Like sometimes it's this delicate, tiny crescent hanging in the twilight, right? And other times it's this massive, glowing, big full circle that just absolutely dominates the midnight sky. It definitely looks like it's growing and shrinking, changing its actual physical form throughout the month. It's this wild optical puzzle that we get to watch play out in real time. Okay, let's dive right into this. Look. It's so easy to fall for the illusion that the moon is physically changing shape from a little crescent to a giant full circle. But the reality? The absolute coolest fact is that the moon never actually changes its physical form. No way! It is and always remains perfectly round. Think of it as a giant, solid, spherical rock floating out there in space. That physical shape? It's not expanding, it's not collapsing, it is always a complete, perfect sphere.
Part 1. The Cosmic Flashlight.
To understand why it looks so totally different to us from night to night, I want you to imagine the moon is just a simple ball floating in the dark emptiness of space. Now picture the sun as a giant, incredibly powerful flashlight shining directly on that ball. Just like shining a regular flashlight on a ball in a pitch-black room, only one side of that ball can be lit up at any given time. The other side, the side facing away from the light, well, that remains in complete darkness. The sun is doing the exact same thing to the moon. Now, what's really fascinating about this is how it explains our perspective from right here on the ground. As the moon travels around Earth, we simply see different amounts of its sunlit side. Those changing shapes we see, they're just caused by the sun lighting up different parts of the moon as it continuously moves in its orbit around our planet. We are essentially just changing our viewing angle of that lit up ball as it travels.
So it really all boils down to this perfectly simple idea. The moon doesn't change shape, it is always round. As the moon goes around Earth, sunlight just lights up different parts of it. That shifting perspective is literally the only thing making the moon look like it's physically changing shape from our vantage point down here.
Moving on to Section 2, the 8 lunar phases. Let's see how this actually builds.
Let's track the exact step-by-step cycle of the moon's journey around the Earth. The journey kicks off with the new moon. This is where we can't see the lit side at all. The moon is positioned so the dark side is facing us, leaving what looks like an empty sky. But as it moves, we get the crescent moon, where just a tiny, beautifully small curved part becomes lit. Then, as it continues its orbit, we hit the first quarter. Here, exactly half of the moon looks lit to us. And then it just keeps growing, becoming what we call a waxing gibbous, which really simply means more than half is lit. It's getting brighter and brighter night by night.
And that brings us to the grand event, the absolute peak of the lunar cycle. The full moon. During this phase, the whole face we see is completely lit up. That cosmic flashlight is shining directly onto the entire half of the moon that faces us. It's perfectly illuminated, giving us that massive, brilliant circle in the night sky.
But of course, the moon keeps right on moving. As it continues its orbit, the cycle begins winding down. First up is the waning gibbous. Waning just means the lit part we can see is starting to get smaller. Then we hit the last quarter, where exactly half appears lit again. And here's the trick, it's the opposite half from the first quarter we saw earlier. Finally, it shrinks all the way down to a crescent moon once more. Only a small, sliver-like lit part remains visible to us. The darkness is taking over our viewing angle again before the whole thing completely repeats. So, the crucial takeaway here is that this entire journey is a continuous, unending sequence. The cycle starts at the new moon in complete darkness, grows steadily all the way to a beautifully bright full moon, shrinks back down to a tiny crescent moon, and then the cycle repeats. It is a predictable, mesmerizing loop of cosmic clockwork that creates the different phases we get to watch every single month.
Which brings us to Section 3, the monthly cycle.
Now that we've totally got the visual mechanics and the sequential phases down, it's time to shift our focus to the exact mathematical time frame. Here's a super fun fact. It takes exactly 29.5 days for the moon to go through all of its phases, from new moon all the way to the full moon and back to a full moon again. That 29.5-day period is the steady, repeating rhythm of our night sky. Which leads us to a final question for you today. Next time you look up, which phase will you spot? And what angle of the cosmic flashlight are you really seeing? I hope this explainer has given you a completely new perspective on our closest celestial neighbor. You aren't just looking at a changing shape anymore. You're witnessing a giant illuminated ball moving in a 29.5-day loop. So keep your eyes on the sky, track the cycle for yourself, and see if you can identify exactly where the moon is in its journey. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep exploring.